Welcome back to the Weekly Yarns. For those of you new, my name's Barry. We decided to do the Weekly Yarns outside today because, as you can see, it's about 45 degrees out here today, red hot, splitting pavement sunshine. Yeah, right. Now it's about 10 degrees, which I suppose in the northeast is t-shirt weather, isn't it? So, yeah, we decided to do it out here today. As you can see, as I say, it's not that bad, is it? On my way to summer though, that's the good thing, on my way to summer. So, what have we been doing this week? We're getting a few little jobs done. A few things haven't happened. But earlier in the week, I think we've spent 3 and a bit days up at the farm moving sheep. So Sunday, we had Kevin up there, ultrasonic guy. Comes in, scans the sheep every year for Gemma, just to let we know whether they're having singles, twins or triplets. And this year again we've actually got one with quads, which is not good because they are always incredibly tiny, obviously, and they end up just being a load of work. So, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we were getting them all sorted out so we could get them transported away to fields for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Then they'll be getting transported back to the farm in order to make sure that they're home for lambing, because you're not supposed to transport them within the last 10% of their gestation period, for obvious reasons. Yes, so we've been busy, but not with the tractor. So, but things have got to get done, haven't they? Things have got to get done. So, first thing we've been doing this week was, can you remember a while ago? Fuel sender. Wheel was missing out the back, wasn't it? And we did some measuring up. And we found we needed a 2mm piece of wire in order to make up a new arm. Then we needed all the measurements for the new arm. So David Monkhouse and Brad Harris kindly sent us a load of photographs of their sender complete with rulers in place so we could get measurements, and David Monkhouse actually took the trouble to measure the angle of the slope. Well, a couple of weeks ago I ordered some 2mm stainless steel rod from the internet, and it arrived. And what we did, we drew out on here, I don't know if you can see that, see the pencil lines here? We drew out on here a template of the wire for the fuel sender. Up here we put, in this hole here, we put a 22mm piece of copper pipe. And then we put a 3/16 dowel and a 3/16 dowel so we could bend the steel around. And as you can see, I give it a little bit of a warming, just to make life easy. And that was so I could get really or reasonably tight bends in it without flexing the other side of it. And here it is. See, I think if we hadn't heated this possibly could have bored here. But anyway, we heated here, we heated there. We put the bend in, because there's an undercut in the float. I measured the undercut and it was 0.9 or 22mm, 0.9 of an inch. So, as I say, put some 22mm copper pipe in there, heated it up, formed the circle first, and then worked away. The bit that no one could foresee is that tiny little bend on the end right there. And what that's for is, see if we can get you to see this. If we look down in here, so maybe put the picture up here, but that little bend on the end of the wire fits into that hole. So that goes through there and into that hole like that. And the idea is it stops it swinging around. Okay, it swings a little bit, but as you can see, it stops it swinging. Now, the next thing that we do here will be, you can see how my little arm there is broken off. So what I'm going to do, we'll pop that in place. We'll pop that in place. Now we're going to put some epoxy on there, but that works beautifully. Works beautifully. There's not a lot of pressure on there, so epoxy should hold it in place. The wiper, which is in the back of here, is still intact, and remember, I have tested this electronically. It still does work. So, with a bit of luck, why I haven't epoxied that in is two things. I wanted to show you the little bend on the end of there, and the other thing is my epoxy is at my caravan, and we're going back to the caravan probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I had to bring the curtains home from the caravan. Some of the hooks got snapped, so I've been sewing new hooks onto the back of the curtains of our caravan. So, and I'm one short, so I've reordered them, and once they arrive I'll get it sewn on. Then we'll pop back the caravan, pick up the epoxy, come home, do this, get it popped back into the tractor. Alright, so mega big thank you to Brad Harris and David Monkhouse for all the effort that they put into those photographs that they sent me on those ones. So, thank you very much, guys. Very much appreciated. So, what else have we been doing? Well, if you remember, last video, we put the gearbox back in, didn't we? After setting the backlash on the diff. Rob Evans and Lance Maskell, Bundy Bear Shed, did notice that I had my DTI on about a 45-degree angle. I had it at 90 degrees to the face of the tooth, not in line with the rotation of the crown wheel. And both of them messaged and said that we would have an error in our measurements. So, and I thought to myself, well, you know what? Let's revisit that. Let's have a look at it and see what's going on. So we did. Through the week, I've got a little bit of it, not a video of me doing it, but a video of the result of it. So, through the week, I took the back plate off the axles, because you can get into the caps and you can get into the adjustment nuts and you can set it all up from there. So last week, took that plate off, and by God, that was a fight for to get that off. Had to use quite a big size pry bar to go down in between the left hand cap of the diff and the back face of the intermediate plate and prise it off. Because I tell you what, that well seal had a hold of it. Jesus, that was on tight. But anyway, right, so we got that off, had a look at that, and sure enough, when you measure in line with the rotation of the crown wheel, I actually had 12 thou backlash. So we've done some adjustments. We turned the castellated nut on the right hand side in 3 castles, and we turned the one on the left out 3 castles to maintain the preload but to decrease the backlash, and it's now down to 8 thou. So Rob, thank you very much. Lance, thank you very much. That was a job well done. So while we were there, we also had a job to do on the hydraulic pump, didn't we? Remember, a while ago, the hydraulic pump went on too easy, far too easy over that O-ring. Campbell and Lance noticed, messaged again, and said, you need to look at that because of the problems of leaks in the future once it's in there, and possible damage due to high pressure oil coming out of it. So we ordered, had a hunt about on the internet, and we ordered 16mm internal diameter by 3mm cross section O-rings. I bought 10. They were £3.76 for 10. Free postage from Seals R Us on eBay. Right? So as I say, yesterday was in there doing that backlash, replaced the back plate, changed out that O-ring, popped the pump back on, right? And sure enough, gets the pump on and had to use the heel of my hand to tap it into position over the top of that O-ring, because you could physically see that. I'll get one out, look. You could physically see that protruding above that delivery tube. So you knew it was going to fit and knew it was going to seal, whereas the other one, just, it felt sloppy, it was thin, and that was the one that came in the kit. So that's what we're doing with that. 16mm by 3mm cross section, popped it in, tapped the pump into place, nipped it all up, pumps back on, jobs are good in that area. As I say, I've got some video of us getting the back plate back on. I haven't got any video of the pump on. The reason is, between fitting the pump and managing to get some pictures of it, we got a phone call from my grandchildren. We needed to go and pick them up from Morpeth from school. Mum was stuck in a field down Widderton with a tractor, so we had to pop through to Morpeth, collect them little darlings, so I didn't get a picture of that. However, we'll have a look and see if we can get some video. It might not be possible because I might have to empty all the garage again. If I don't, what I'll do is I'll get a picture of it the next time we've got the back of the garage emptied out. Alright, Michael Newman been asking about the oil seals. He was watching my video on stripping the back axle out and was asking if we're putting the seals back in. Well, we have to some degree, Michael. As you can see, the seals are back in the carriers. As I explained in a previous yarn, the original carriers that were on the original axle are egg-shaped due to the fact that somebody didn't put the final drives back on tightly. When they popped them back on, they left all the bolts slack. The final drives popped up under the weight of the tractor and the shafts began to rub in the top of here, ovaling the holes by 2mm. When you look at it, they would still work. They would still be effective because it's the seals that seal. It's got nothing to do with the shape of this steel. But when I had round ones, I thought, yeah, you know what? We'll just put the round ones in, won't we? So anyway, that's your seal carriers. 2 seals in there. You fill the void between the seals with grease. I've greased this, but I haven't filled it yet. But I will before it goes back on the tractor. Now, to help you knock those seals out, you can put a punch in from here and punch the first seal out. Second one's a little bit more difficult, but I found if you put screws or bolts into here and screw them in, that can help push the first seal down to where you can get a punch in to knock it out. I think, off the top of my head, if I can remember rightly, I think one seal I totally destroyed pulling it out, and the other one was not in a good condition when it got out. Seals 3 and 4 were alright, but seals 1 and 2 on that one were destroyed because they are such a good fit in there. And all I did was I used a seal punch set for to pop them back in, greased both sides, popped them back in, and they're just living in a zippy bag at the moment until we're in a position to put them back in. But they won't be going back into the axle for a while. Right hand side we have to reinstall the diff lock and the spring and then lock it into position, and you do that through that sealed carrier hole. You go in through along the axle that way with the tool. You need to make a tool to put your diff lock on so you can go in, push it into position and turn it so that the activator can get a hold of the collar in it. Then you wire the external parts up so that it cannot release till you get your drive shaft in. Now, everybody that I've heard with this said that was an amazing day's worth of fun, trying to get that in position and then get your drive shaft in without knocking it out of position again. So that's where we are with the seals. As I say, the thread in those, I did read somewhere that they were quarter BSF. Now, both of those, I've just put in a quarter UNC bolt into them and it threaded straight in. So, what you need to do, if you haven't pulled yours out yet, and you're in the process of doing so, you need to get a couple of bolts and try them in the holes and see which one fits. Because, as I say, I read in one of the workshop manuals it was quarter BSF, and I'm absolutely positive Campbell messages and said they're not, that they're quarter UNF, and yet I've had quarter UNC screws in them today. So, but what you do, you make a plate that spans across, spans across the front of here, 2 clearance holes in here, and you bolt the plate to the carrier. Wider out, you have 2 tapped holes that you put bolts into, and you use those 2 bolts to jack out that carrier from the axle plate. They're not in tight, they're in sealed, you know, they're a good seal, they're a good fit, but they are not incredibly tight. As soon as you start turning the jacking out bolts either side, you should feel this start to move. When you come to pop it back in, clean all this up, as I say, pack the void in between the 2 seals with grease, and you put a bit of 515 round the outside. Knock them back in with a soft-faced hammer. I do like the soft-faced hammers. Don't particularly like hard-faced hammers. Cost you money, hammers, as I found out to my expense. Right, well, we haven't done anything with the final drives yet. The reason being we needed to make a puller. So I started pricing up 1/2-inch diameter steel bar, high tensile steel bar. It was for a metre length, it was £40 per length. And you look and just think that's absolutely ridiculous. It really is ridiculous money for 1/2-inch diameter steel. So, came up with the idea of we would buy some T16, 16mm diameter, high tensile, steel reinforcing bars that builders use in concrete. And we'll grind the end down about 3/4 of an inch to 1/2-inch diameter, and we would thread the ends. The other ends we would weld caps on and formulate a puller so we can put a jack underneath the drive shaft, push on a set of channel bars probably that the reinforcing bars are sitting in between. I got an email last night saying that the rebars had been delivered at 12 minutes past 10. Well, we've looked everywhere in here and there ain't no rebar in here. So, emailed the company last night and we said, I don't know who he's delivered to, but he hasn't delivered to me. It's not here. So we got them onto the courier now, trying to find out where he's delivered this bar to. That's if he's delivered it at all, innit? Because he probably hasn't bothered his backside. So, at the minute, Now it's been happening with the final drive. Just have to wait and see what's going on, won't we? Hopefully we'll get the bar sorted out before long, and hopefully we'll get some work done on that where we can fabricate a puller and get those pulled to bits so we can get them cleaned up and painted. Like Tom Hart's. You've seen Tom Hart's? Pop along the community tab, have a look at Tom Hart's. He's been at his. In order to rotate them while you're painting, because they are lumps, they are big lumps, Tom used, I think it was a bar stool. He got an old bar stool with the rotating top, he plonked his on that and he painted his that way. I normally use a Lazy Susan. I've got one in the garage, but I don't know actually if it's going to be heavy enough to carry the weight of this casting. We'll see. I didn't do the engine block on it, but I did do the cylinder head on it. As I say, we'll see whether it's heavy enough to carry this. Now, a company that I use in the UK, an online company, Bearings, Simply Bearings, they sell those Lazy Susan bearings so you can make up your own rotating tables. So I might have to have a look at there and see what they've got in terms of classifications of bearings to see if we might have to make up a heavier table to rotate this component on. But we'll see, won't we? Right, have a quick look at this video, see what you think of it. As I say, it's a couple of minutes shot on my iPhone just before we got the phone call. So I'll try and get you a picture of the pump back in place, but if not, I'll get you for the next time. Alright, have a look at this video, see what you think. Right, we're back on my telephone here. I took the back plate off to check the travel on the crown wheel, because both Robert and Lance mentioned that because the gauge was at 45 degrees I would have an error. So came in and I checked it, and we have moved the crown wheel across a little bit. Today as well, O-rings are turned up, 16mm by 3 for the pump, so we're going to pop the pump back on now. Back in a minute. Right guys, well that's it for this week. Thank you very much for visiting. As always, your time is greatly appreciated when you pop along. If the video's been useful, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, tell your mates. Costs you nothing to subscribe. You know, as I say, it's not like a Reader's Digest subscription. Costs you 10 quid a month. This doesn't cost you a penny. Don't forget to tick that little notification bell. YouTube will notify you when we pop the next video out. So, from the sunny northeast of England, hope you have a good week, and we'll see you in the next one. But don't forget, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. See you in the next one now. Bye bye. Stay safe.